So the article you're about to read is called Becoming Members of Society by Aaron DeVore. It's one of my very favorite articles. I teach it in practically every class that I've ever had. Its ostensible purpose is to talk about the acquisition of patriarchal gender schema that dictates how we behave as men and women in society. Basically, what that means is that DeVore is looking at how do we learn what it means to be an acceptable member of society. And this patriarchal gender schema is an understanding of gender roles and expectations that benefit a patriarchal structure or a male dominated structure. We learn from an early age how to fit ourselves into that stratification. And so DeVore does a really good job of kind of looking at how our significant others, which are like our parents and teachers, churches, anyone that you know, your friends and family, basically, uh, and the generalized other. So that would be just people out and about in the streets, right? And DeVore says a very interesting thing in that we come to know ourselves as reflected in the eyes of others, right? And so this is part of DeVore's discussion of a system of rewards and punishments that are very subtle, that shape us and guide us into the formation of gender identity, or really any cultural acquisitions. Basically, how do we learn uh, the right way to act in all situations? And the idea that we come to recognize ourselves as reflected in the eyes of others means that when we do something wrong, if your mother had that look like my mother had, you automatically knew that you had done something wrong. That was a punishment. Very subtle. Sometimes real punishment came after that, but a lot of times it's just the look. Or if you're out and about in the world as a young person, uh, and you become aware, maybe as you're having a tantrum in the store, you become aware that just random people are looking at you and they're looking at you with a stank face. That disapproval in their eyes doesn't make you feel good. It makes you feel ashamed and embarrassed, right? Because you kind of understand that you've done something wrong. And so you seek not to do that something wrong anymore. And you always are trying to do that something right and over and over and over again. So DeVore goes into some really interesting ways that this takes place. So as you read, I want you to take particular attention to the concept of the I and the me. DeVore draws a distinction and says that the I and the me are actually kind of different. So pay a little bit of attention to that. And also really pay attention to where DeVore is talking about the impact that the generalized other and the significant other has on the acquisition of gendered identity. We're going to use this not just for gender identity, but for really how Zitz does or doesn't acquire acceptable behaviors. So we're going to use it as a way to try to understand Zitz, okay? See you on the other side. Talk to you soon.